What's up guys, welcome back to the video, bringing you back a revamped tutorial for the remote package installer. But guys, this time it's gonna be super fast compared to what we've been facing before. I'm talking about 30 gig packages being transferred in about 7 to 8 minutes. And I want to show you that in this particular video. It has been quite some time since a remote package installer tutorial has been dropped. I do see the tutorial I posted was about 1 year ago guys, and this was when 6.7.2 was the latest jailbreakable firmware. There is a new version of remote package sender. There is a version 2.4.3 beta being released about just 3 days ago, and this has made a whole lot difference. So thanks to GoldHEN Sali, I really hope I'm saying that right, but he went ahead and he actually made this update. So initially it was a design rework by iRefuse, but GoldHEN did go ahead and refactoring the entire thing into a new application. So big hats off to him, big hats off to Flats, Spectre, and X Vortex. Alright guys, so what I'm going to cover in this particular video, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and transfer a package from your PC or from your Mac all the way onto your PS4 without the need of a USB device. This could include via Wi-Fi, so you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network and you can go and transfer them, but it's going to be slower. If you don't really care about speeds, then that should be fine. But if you guys do have a network cable in hand, you can go ahead and speed this up a ton faster. So I'm going to cover both the different methods as well guys, as Wi-Fi and using an Ethernet cable, that is the network cable. So we're going to look into that as well. So coming to the requirements guys, of course you need to have your package files, you need to have the remote package installer Pkg installed on your PS4, and then you also need the client, which is the remote package installer sender version 2. And I'm going to leave all the links in the descriptions. This is the link that you would be needing in version 2.4.3 beta. Now this is being updated. This is not the entire final release guys. So by the time you're seeing this video, maybe you might be already dealing with the latest one, or maybe with the higher version. So don't worry about the versions over here. So this was updated 3 days ago, and there will be more updates coming up. So I'll be leaving this links in the description guys. So based on what you're using, a Mac or a Windows, you guys can go and download it. Alright guys, so let's look into the Mac version first. I did go ahead and click on the mac.zip. Once you go ahead and download it, it's going to go and extract the client. That's the remote package sender. This is how you should have the final outcome. So once you have this, just go ahead and open it up. So guys, this is just a quick tip for the Mac users. If at all you download something from the internet and it doesn't allow you to open it, it does say that it's an unverified source. All you guys got to do, go to system preferences, go to security, and whatever app that you try to open, go ahead and you'll have a button over here that says open anyway. So this is the step that you got to do. So once you've done that, then you can go and open this up. Once you open it up guys, this is how your remote package sender application is going to look like. So it does seem a little different. It does have a lot more options now rather than compared to how it was before. A very straightforward application. If you look at the settings, there's no settings available yet. As I mentioned, it's just a beta. There will be future ideas, which will be import, export settings, etc. So ignore this setting entirely. Here it does give you the ease of use where you can download the PS4 Pkg installer for your PS4 right from here. So if you click this, it's going to go straight to a mega link and download it for you. In case you don't have it, this is the best way to get it guys. Go ahead and get that. You can download it. It's a small file, about 4 MB, and you need to have that installed on your PS4. No way around it guys. You would need to use a small USB in order to go and transfer this and install it on your PS4. Okay, with that out of the way, getting back in here guys, so looking into config, this part is kind of interesting. You would need to go ahead and do a few setups over here, and I'm going to show you that step by step. Alright guys, so I'm going to go and show you how to do the Wi-Fi method first. So you go ahead and have the config page open over here. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that your Mac is connected to the Wi-Fi. So as you can see over here in the Wi-Fi section, I am connected to this particular hotspot. Make sure that your PS4 is also connected to the same thing. So I'm going to jump into my PS4 real quick. So guys, if you notice over here, I am connected to the same SSID, the same hotspot as my Mac is connected to right now. And just take note of your IP address over here. So as you can see in my IP address, 192.168.225.67. So I'm going to take note of this because this is actually important when you're filling in the PS4's IP address. So back over here guys, the first thing we're going to look into, the local server configuration is based on your particular PC, your Mac. So the server IP, if I click over here, you can see I do have 2 different ones. That's only because I do have my Ethernet plugged in as well. So ignore this for now. It's going to come handy in the Ethernet step for right now. So for right now guys, just to go ahead and make a point, I'm going to go to network. I'm going to go to my Wi-Fi connection, go to advanced, If I go to TCP IP, as you guys can see, this is my IP address for my particular Mac right now. That's 192.168.225 and 170. So make sure you know your Mac's IP address, which is it's going to go ahead and drop down in this particular drop down anyway. It's going to automatically select it, so you don't have to worry about it. Go and click that. The port, it doesn't really matter, guys. So I would say just go ahead and leave the port as is. Don't worry about it. And there are multiple server apps, but right now Express is the only one that works, and it works perfectly fine. I'm going to select this one here. And finally, guys, the PKG base path. This is a really good feature in the PS4 Remote Package Center version 2, where actually you can go ahead and select the base folder. I did go and select a folder on my desktop where I want to go ahead and just install the dumped game, which is Resident Evil Village. But however, guys, if you really want to go ahead and make a difference, you go ahead and choose your download folder. If you go to your downloads folder over here and just choose this folder, it's going to go ahead and scan all of your download folders. Once we have all that configured, guys, right now the status is stopped. If I hit this, now the server is running from my Mac. To go ahead and test this, I'm going to show you that in just a second. If you go to Processing Center, you can click on Check Server. And as you can see, congrats, Heartbeat is working. It shows you that the PC side of the server is running perfectly fine. Let's jump back into config. Now that we have this good, we're going to go ahead and look into the PS4 configuration. So remember the PS4's IP address, guys. This is important. Let's go and put that in. So it's 192.168.225.67 was the PS4's IP address. Just hit enter once. It might flash the white screen a little bit, but guys, I would suggest to go ahead and jump back into the config, make sure this is there, because sometimes it only takes the first digit and it doesn't configure properly. So just go ahead and cross check, maybe just move back to a different tab and come back and cross check if it is completely filled in. Okay, now that we have this done, we're good to go in the config side. So for this particular video, I'm going to go back to my remote package installer folder. So I do have the Resident Evil Village dumped, and I'm going to be using that. So now let's move on to the server tab. When you go to the server tab, it'll automatically pull out the .pkg files that you have under that particular folder. So you do have two different buttons over here. This basically tries to download it again in a point where you want to go ahead and save it to a different location. So just don't worry about it. It just shows you that it's actually working from the server's point of view. So this, guys, is to go ahead and keep it ready to push it to your PS4. That happens in the processing center, which is right over here. So I hope the tabs are not too confusing. It's just, I know the tabs might seem a little bit confusing for right now, guys. Don't worry about it. So you have the config all done, the PS4 side, the local server side, which is your PC, your Mac. The server tab is basically pulling out whatever information as in your package files that you have in the selected directory. And finally, the processing center is where you go ahead and send files and pause or delete, etc. So right now, let's go to the server. I do see it's pulled out my Resident Evil dumped package file, and I'm going to hit the plus icon, change the status to in queue. If I go to processing center, now it shows up over here. So guys, next thing we're going to do is we're going to check the connection between the Mac and the PS4. So check the server locally. It looks like it's green. It's working. Not a problem. Now we're going to check the connection for the PS4, but remember, guys, you need to have remote package installer open in order for the connection to be established. So let's jump back into the PS4. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to open the remote package installer. So now that this is opened, I'm going to go and click on check PS4. Okay, I'm getting a timeout error over here, guys. So this is perfectly normal. Don't worry about it. If at all you're having issues, I would just go ahead and ask you to go to config, stop the server, and on the PS4, go ahead and close remote package installer. And closing is not just going back to the home screen. Just go ahead and hit the options button and close application. That's how you close the remote package installer. Start the server. So once the server is running over here, let's go back to processing center. And on the PS4, I'm going to open up the remote package installer again, give it a few seconds, and I'm going to check the PS4. There we go. Check PlayStation, PS4 is accessible. So guys, you do have a few different options over here. The information sent to the PS4, and this is going to check if it can be installed on the PS4. If I click this, Resident Evil dump.pkg can be installed. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and click the send button. And there we go, guys. Added to downloads, Resident Evil Village. And that's basically it. But now let's look into how much of a time is actually going to take. I'm going to check in the notifications. Looks like it's calculating, but if I go and click this, You guys can see it says about 18 hours left because it's super slow. This is something around what you should be seeing, guys. 1 to 2 MB per second is probably going to be the download speed. If you look over here, 85, 88, it's about 2 to 4 MB per second is basically what you're going to be looking at. About 70 minutes or 80 minutes is what's going to happen for this particular application. So guys, this is how much of time is going to go ahead and take. About 70 minutes or 80 minutes makes more sense about how it's being transferred over the Wi-Fi hotspot that I have right now. Maybe around 3 to 4 MB per second at max. That's basically what's happening over here. So I'm going to go out here and I'm going to delete this because I'm not going to wait for that to complete. So guys, that's basically how you go ahead and transfer using the Wi-Fi method. And when you come back to this application, the one thing I noticed that these pop-ups can be quite annoying sometimes because they do keep popping up like timeout or page is not available. That's perfectly fine. All you got to do is just reset queue, task and installed. Click this. Click OK, and this does kind of block you from clicking the tabs above it. So if you just go ahead and click this, I think you should be able to go ahead and jump back in. And you can stop the server if you're having issues. So guys, since it's still in beta, if you're having any issues, just go ahead and close the app and reopen it. Alright guys, so now that we've seen how to go and remote package installer, send your package files from your Mac to the PS4 using Wi-Fi, now we're going to see some crazy speeds that I was talking about. So initially what we noticed was about 70 to 80 minutes, about 2 to 3 MB per second was basically what we were looking at. But now I'm going to show you something else. So let me put this pretty simple, guys. The way you have to have this configured, it does require your Ethernet cable. Your PC or your Mac should be plugged in to your network where your PS4 is, or you can directly connect your PS4 to your Mac or your PC directly using the Ethernet cable. You can do either one of these things, guys, and both of them are going to work perfectly fine. I, for this particular video, have plugged my PS4 in directly to my iMac. So I'm using my iMac and I have it plugged in with the Ethernet cable. One end is on the PS4, the other end is in my Mac right now. So I'm going to be proceeding with this one. So just follow these instructions. It's going to save you a ton of time, guys, especially if you have your PS4 laying around, or if you have a laptop that you can carry to your PS4, it's going to save you a lot of time. So back on my Mac, guys, I am still connected to the Wi-Fi that I'm using, the hotspot, which does have the internet, but I'm also connected to the Ethernet right now. So I'm going to show you that in my settings. If I go to system preferences and I go to network right over here, as you guys can see, I do have my Wi-Fi connected and I have my Ethernet plugged in as well. So if I click on Ethernet, it does give me an IP address that it assigned for me automatically. Now you can let it be the way it is, that's up to you. But in this particular scenario, you can either leave it the way it is, or you can use a manual address where you can give an address as you like. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to leave the same IP address using the DHCP. So it has already assigned an IP address for me, and I'm going to be using this IP address to then configure my PS4's IP address. So this is important, guys. Make sure you have the same IP address. Just change something in the last bit. I would just go as far as just changing the last digit. Just go ahead and I'm gonna, as you can see here, it's 169.254.117.247. I'm gonna put the same thing on the PS4, except I'm gonna add 8 instead of 7. That's what I'm gonna do. So go ahead and do the same thing, guys. The IP address may not be as what you're looking at on my particular screen right now. It could be something else entirely for you. Just go ahead and stick the same way. Just change the last digit, guys. So make sure you have this noted down, guys, because it could be different for you. Do not copy the same thing. If at all you want to copy the same thing, guys, just go ahead and choose with your manual address and then just copy and paste the same thing you see on my screen if you want to go down that way. So now that we have this already laid out, so I'm going to take note of this. Go to the config. So I do have my Wi-Fi connected and my Ethernet connected. So right now it's selected to my Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to choose the other one, which is the one we are looking at right now. This is the Ethernet port that I'm using. That's 169.254.117.247. I'm going to click this. And now that that's selected and it's running right now, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to keep this stopped. So guys, now the important point is how you're going to configure your PS4. So remember, the PS4 is now plugged into Ethernet, but right now it's connected to Wi-Fi because the previous scenario that I was showing you was connected to Wi-Fi. We're going to change that now. We're going to jump back onto the PS4. And if I go to my settings, go down to network, you guys can see it is now connected still to my hotspot. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set up internet connections and I'm going to use a LAN cable. And I do not want to go with easy because it does not have internet, so it's going to have an issue setting it up. I'm going to go to custom, And the IP address, I'm going to use manual. So guys, here is where it's important. Based on what IP address I did see over there, I'm going to go and type down similarly. So I'm going to keep this side by side, and I'm going to make sure I type the same thing. So it's 169.248. So that's the only thing I'm changing, the very last digit. And I'm going to go and click on OK. Likewise, guys, the subnet mask should be the same way as you had it. Subnet mask should be the same way as you had it in the network. It was right over here. As you can see, it's 255.255.0.0. And that's about it. You don't have to go ahead and change anything else. The default gateway, primary DNS, and none of that stuff. Let's go and click Next. Automatic, proxy not use. Now internet settings has been updated. So officially your PS4 is now Ethernet connected, or in this particular scenario, I do have my PS4 connected via Ethernet now to my Mac in the same network. So I'm going to open up my remote package installer, and I'm going to go ahead and put the same IP address like I had it on the PS4 in the PS4 section, 169.254.117.248. Because that's how I had it. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now it's all set in. I'm going to run the server, and I'm going to go to the processing center, click on check server. Server looks good. Before I click on check PS4, I'm going to open up the remote package installer on the PS4. Okay, give it like 2 seconds. Okay, let's click on check PS4, and there you go, guys. It is now accessible. So we are all connected now. Let's go to server. I'm going to push in that Resident Evil. Click on in queue, back here, and I'm going to go and click on send. But guys, check this out. It is now sent. I'm going to go back out. I'm going to open up this. Guys, I'm not even kidding you. Just 8 minutes for a 28 GB file. Now look at the speed. It's literally close to 100 MB per second, guys. I just opened this up, guys, and just 2 GB of information is already transferred. Just 8 minutes, which is far lesser than copying it to a pen drive and plugging your pen drive in and then again installing it on your PS4. This is super fast, and it's going to be done in a jiffy. 8 minutes long, and that's about it, guys. Now that is some serious improvement from the way we had it before. So previously, guys, there was a lot of different things that we can actually do to achieve this amount of speeds. It did involve a lot of technicalities like connecting, making a bridge, a connection sharing, etc. But this new update did go ahead and help you to choose which Ethernet port and where to run your server from, which has made it much easier to go ahead and just straight out of the box get these insane speeds, guys. As I'm talking now, we're close to 6 GB right now. Okay, I'm not going to let this finish. I'm going to go and redo this in the Windows side. So I'm going to go and delete this one. Alright guys, so that's about it. As simple as that is for the Mac side of things. Just go ahead and follow this information and you'll be able to go and transfer your games. In less than 8 to 10 minutes, you're going to have the game on your PS4 and ready to go ahead and start gaming. Okay, let's move on to the Windows part of things. Alright guys, so now we're on Windows. I'm going to show you the same things I showed you on Mac on the Windows side of things, because I do know most of the people might have just skipped on to the Windows if you're using Windows, and people who are using Mac probably are not even going to see this one. So first things first, guys, you need to go ahead and have the remote PS4 Pkg sender. So I'm going to go ahead and download the exe version, or you also have the zip version as well. I'm going to click on the exe version, let that download out. Meantime, again on Windows, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cover the Wi-Fi method as well as the Ethernet method. So let's go with the Wi-Fi method first. As you guys can see, I'm having some pretty insanely fast speeds over here since I'm still traveling. Alright guys, so here it is. This is how it's going to look on Windows. Looks pretty much the similar way as it does look on Mac as well. So let's go and see that. That's exactly the way it is. So if you guys don't have the PS4 package installer, the package file as it is, you guys can go and get it from here. You can click this. It's going to start downloading the .pkg file that needs to be installed on the PS4. So I'm going to go and explain this all over again, because for the Windows users, it's pretty much the same thing, guys, but this local server configuration is from your Windows side and your PS4 configuration is on your PS4 side. So we're going to go and configure this just the same way. So once you start from the config page, move on to the server page, and finally go to the processing center where you'll be sending the files. So we're going to start with the config. and we're going to start with configuring your particular PC right now. So the server IP, right now I'm going to be using the Wi-Fi as my first method. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose Wi-Fi. It's clearly mentioned there, guys, Wi-Fi and Ethernet. Choose Wi-Fi. And once you've chosen Wi-Fi, of course, the server app, don't worry about it. There only is Express, so you could choose Express, leave it on default. All right, guys, so once you have that set up here, so we're going to move on to the PKG base part. When you talk about the base part, it talks about the folder where you have all your packages downloaded or dumped, and you have all your package files contained in that particular folder. Highly recommended to go and choose your downloads folder because that's where all your downloads go to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and choose a specific folder that I have on my external hard drive. I'm going to click this. I'm going to go to my external hard drive, click on other files, other, and let me just keep this particular folder other because I do have a few packages over here. Click on select folder. Just to make sure that actually worked, go to server, and as you guys can see, it already had pulled it up, but I'm going to click on reload in case you guys don't see it. Click on reload and you should go ahead and pull up all the package files in that particular folder. So I do have Blood and Truth. I also do have Borderlands 2. One is the main package file, then you have the update file. As you guys can see, it's 32 gigs right over here. So I'm going to use this as an example for this scenario over here. So let's jump back to the config page now. So we do have the Wi-Fi selected here. So you don't have to worry about the port, guys. It hasn't given me an issue at all. I'm just going to leave it the same way. As I mentioned, the server should be the same way. This is the only option you have. Now that you have the base pass set as well, now we can move on to the PS4's configuration. So before we go ahead and talk about the PS4's configuration, guys, as I mentioned, I'm going to go and cover the Wi-Fi method first, and then I'm going to talk about the Ethernet method next. So if you look over here, I am connected to Wi-Fi. I'm connected to this particular hotspot over here. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my PS4 is connected to the same hotspot before I proceed with the Wi-Fi method. So let me jump onto my PS4. All right, guys, so I'm on the PS4 right now, and I might be connected to Ethernet based on my last scenario. Let me go to settings, network, setup connection, and let me use the Wi-Fi. And I do have the Wi-Fi settings already existing, so I'm just going to use that one. Click on yes. So it looks like my PS4 is now connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm going to go check it out and view connection status. As you guys can see, I am connected to the same hotspot right over here, the same one here. But guys, make sure you take a note of your IP address for your PS4, which is actually very important. In this case, my IP address is 192.168.255 and 67. So 67 is something that's important. Make sure you keep a note of that, and let me jump back onto my PC now. So that's what we're going to do here, guys. We're going to go and fill this in. So it should be as equal to the one you have on your Wi-Fi right on top, 192.168.225, except the last digit was 67. So once you do this, guys, just hit the enter key. Your screen should flash real quick inside the application. There we go, and now it looks like it's set. But just to make sure, just go and switch tabs and come back to your config. Make sure it's entirely put in the same way, because sometimes it only takes the first letter and it only registers that and doesn't take the last one. So just make sure that you have the entire IP address filled in even when you're switching tabs to make sure it's actually working. As you can see here, the status looks like it's stopped, so we just have to hit this button here. And now you might have this prompt. Make sure you have everything selected, allow access. Okay, now it's running. So when it's running, guys, so as I mentioned, there's two different sides here. This is the local PC side and this is the PS4 side. So in order to go and test this out, let's go to the processing center. And if you look over here, you do have a few buttons on top. Click on check server to see if your server is working from your PC side. Looks like it's working. Congrats, heartbeat is working. So if you get that green message, that means your server side on your PC is good. Now we need to check if the PS4 is connected. Click that. There you go. It looks like we have an issue. And that issue, guys, is only because Remote Package Installer is not actually running right now. So let's jump back onto the PS4. Let's get out of here. And we're going to go and open up Remote Package Installer. So once this is open, now we can jump back in. And now click on check PS4 connection. Says PlayStation is not available. Not a problem, guys. These are issues that you'd normally run on. All you got to do, go to config, make sure you switch off your local server configuration. And back on your PS4, quit Remote Package Installer. Guys, when I say quit, not just hitting the PS button, but you actually have to hit the options button and close the application altogether. That's the way you close the application, not just go back to the home screen and back into the app. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump back onto the PC. I'm going to run this server here. So now that the server is running on the PC side, and I'm going to open up the remote package installer on the PS4. Give it like 1 or 2 seconds. Now let's go to processing center and check PS4. There we go, guys. Check PS4 station. PS4 is accessible. So now we have a connection established from the PC to the PS4. Everything is good. Now let's go to server. This is where your package files are. As I mentioned, guys, you start here, you move on to the server, and then you move on to the processing center. So once you have it configured, go to your server. This is where you go ahead and pull up all the package files in that particular folder. So I'm going to use this as an example. All you guys got to do, click on the little plus icon, and it's going to put it in queue, and you're going to be seeing it in the process center. Once you see it over here, we're going to go and click this button, and it's going to go and send it to the PS4. Let's do that, and I'm going to do this side by side so you guys can see. All right, guys, I'm going to go and click on the send button, and that's it. Looks like it's sent. Add it in, and now it should start downloading on your PS4. You can go and check it out pressing the PS button. Go to your notifications. But now, guys, it's going to be extremely slow because I'm using a hotspot for the starters. It's going to be super slow. I'm going to open this up, and guys, as you can see, 11 hours left. 11 hours came all the way down to 120 minutes or so to go ahead and transfer this over. About, if you look over here, it says 14, 17, 20, so about 2 to 3 MB per second is basically how it's downloading this. So this is how you guys go ahead and do it by the Wi-Fi method. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to show you guys on the Ethernet method. So let's go jump back onto the PC. So guys, as I mentioned, this is still in beta, so you do have these annoying pop-ups and everything coming up. So all you got is to do, just click on reset, queues and tasks installed, click on OK. So just go ahead and cancel everything that's happening right now. And if at all you're still having these pop-ups coming in and coming out, just go to config. Make sure you stop the server first and then close the application. Once you close it for good, you wouldn't have to deal with that again. Just open up the application all over again. As mentioned, guys, this is still in beta, so it's going to be improved over time. So I'm not sure when you're going to be seeing this video. Say you've been seeing this video maybe a few weeks later or a month later. You might be able to have the actual full version out without any of these issues. Okay, guys, so now we're going to talk about Ethernet method, which is actually pretty cool, and you save a lot of time. What you just noticed right now, it did say 11 hours, but it dropped it down to like ideally about 120 minutes, roughly about 2 hours to go ahead and transfer that, roughly about 2 to 4 MB per second. But now I'm going to show you what the real speeds are. So guys, let's jump back to config. Pretty much the same thing. I'm going to stop running the server right now before we make any changes. This is how you're going to go and plug in from your PC to your PS4. So guys, first thing, you need an Ethernet cable. You can do it in 2 different methods, guys. One, plug your PC onto the router that you have your PS4 also plugged into, or you can actually directly connect your PS4 to your PC. So I have my PS4 directly connected to my Windows PC right now. If you look over here, I am connected to Wi-Fi, but simultaneously I'm also connected to Ethernet, and it says unidentified network because there's no internet from my Ethernet. It's directly just my PS4. I know this might sound a little confusing for most people, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to network settings, change adapter options. So this might look like a very familiar point of view for most people over here. So as you can see here, I do have my Bluetooth, my Ethernet, and my Wi-Fi. So my Wi-Fi is connected to the hotspot, as you guys can see over there. But my Ethernet is connected, but it does not know what it is. So guys, this is an important step to know what your Ethernet IP address is. Fortunately, you don't have to go jumping around and doing a lot of things. It's super simple, guys. All you guys got to do, open up the same application, click here, and you can see the Ethernet is auto assigned with an IP address by default. So just choose Ethernet, but just remember what the IP address is. So ideally, guys, we need to make sure the PS was also in the same class as this Ethernet IP address that we have on the PC. When I mean the same class, just change the very last digit, guys. Right now you can see 6 is assigned here, make it 7 or make it 5. Either way, just make it something close to what it is so you don't have it messed up or you don't get too confused about it. So that's what I'm going to do. As you notice over here is 192.168.1.106. But guys, this just gives you the IP address to make it more simpler or to understand exactly what to configure your PS4 with. Let's go down here, right click, go to properties, find Internet Protocol version 4, just click this, click on properties, and here we go guys. Your IP address, the same one you see over there in the particular app, your subnet mask 255.255.0.0, and your default gateway and the DNS servers. Now you don't have to go and configure all of these things out, just the first two things is important. We already found this in the app, we can use the same thing, but we also need to know the subnet mask, which is 255.255.0.0. That's exactly what we're going to keep in mind and do it. I know this seems a few extra steps here guys, but you need to know this because we need to have the PS4 connected to the same network and accessible the same way. So we're going to go to settings, network. Right now it's connected to my hotspot as I mentioned. Let's go and set up internet connections again, but this time we use a LAN cable, not the Wi-Fi. We're going to go for custom. Go to manual, and this is where we need to enter stuff in guys. So click on IP address. If you remember, it was 192.168.1.106. Now this is what was on the PC. So we're going to go and change only the last digit. I'm going to make this 7. As simple as that guys, that's all you got to do. And likewise the subnet mask was 255.255.0.0. That's pretty much all that we need. Let's click on next, automatic, do not use, and that's it guys. Now we should be in the same network. We're back on the PC guys. It is stopped over here. The PS4 configuration is over here, so we do have the previous IP address that we entered. So we're going to remove this, make sure we enter the new one. 1.107 is what we put for the PS4. Hit enter, little flash, we're good to go. Okay, we're gonna go and start the server now. Cross check, everything seems good. Everything seems to be the way it's supposed to be. Go back to the processing center. Check the server from the PC side, all good. Now we're gonna check the PS4 side. But before that guys, make sure you run the remote package installer. So let's open this up. Check PS4, and there we go guys. PS4 is also accessible now. Now let's go ahead and bring them both in together. Alright guys, so here we are. So I'm going to go and send the same Blood and Truth, about 32 GB. I'm going to click on the plus icon. It should be in the processing center now. All good to go, all good to send. And I'm going to go ahead and send it. There we go. It's now on the PS4. Guys, I'm not even kidding you. I'm just going to go back out and just look at that. It's almost 1 GB done already. That's just between me switching from the app and going to this particular one. 8 minutes and you have a 32 GB game on your particular PS4. Not even kidding you guys, it is super fast. It's about 100 MB per second, about 80 to 100 MB per second of a transfer speed. And this is going to save you a ton of time if you can go ahead and get this done. And guys, remember, it is transferring the game from my external hard drive through the network cable onto my PS4. So that is 2 different hops it's already doing, but I could go ahead and talk for another 2 minutes or 3 minutes and I could probably have half the game already installed. So guys, this is how you can get your transfer speeds on a blazing fast 8 to 9 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. You can get some of the biggest package files installed on your PS4 via Ethernet cable. There are other methods, guys, which was previously there, where you had to manually create a connection sharing or making a bridge in order for the speeds to be achieved to this level. But now you have it right there, all in the click of a button. And that's about it, guys. That's as simple as you can do it. Before I can even finish talking, guys, about 7 GB of information has already been transferred. That is actually pretty awesome, if you ask me. By the way, guys, I don't know how many of you guys are actually using PSVR. If you're using PSVR or PS Vita, drop me a comment, let me know that you have it. Let me see how many of my viewers are actually having a PSVR and or also a PS Vita. Let me know, because I do have these 2 products and I would like to go and cover some videos about it. If at all I do have a lot of viewers in those categories, I would love to make some videos about that as well. Let me know in the comments. I'll be looking forward to your comments, guys. Well, that's about it for this particular video, guys. I'm going to be posting more tutorials soon. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and drop a subscribe and hit the bell notification so you do not miss when I drop a video. So that's about it, guys. I hope you're enjoying your 9.00 jailbreak and whatever jailbreak you're on right now. I hope you're enjoying your time. I hope you're enjoying the new year as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Happy gaming, cheers, and bye-bye.